What you are witnessing is not a miracle, it is a revolution. In just a few short years, Burkina Faso, one of Africa's most underdeveloped nations, has been transformed under the leadership of one man, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. As Western powers watch nervously, African nations are taking notes. The old game of foreign dependence is crumbling, and in its place, a new era of African self-reliance is rising. This is the story of Traoré's bold transformation and why it's igniting hope and fear across the continent. When Captain Ibrahim Traoré took over leadership in 2022, Burkina Faso was in crisis. Roads were broken and nearly impassable. Healthcare was collapsing. Corruption was rampant. The economy was controlled by foreign corporations who extracted resources but left little behind for the people. Youth unemployment was soaring. Terrorist attacks destabilized the nation. The people had lost faith, their dreams stolen by decades of poor governance, foreign interference, and economic exploitation. Burkina Faso, like much of Africa, was trapped in what experts call the resource curse. Rich in gold, copper, and other minerals, yet its people remained desperately poor. Why? Because raw materials were exported cheaply, processed abroad, and sold back to Africa at inflated prices. Traoré saw this injustice, but unlike most, he acted. From day one, Traoré made one thing clear: Africa must control its own resources, build its own industries, and chart its own destiny. His plan had several bold pillars: prioritizing local labor. Traoré immediately rejected the old model of awarding contracts to foreign companies. Roads would now be built by Burkinabe engineers. Local companies received government support to train workers and acquire modern equipment. Massive infrastructure drive. Thousands of kilometers of new, smooth highways have connected villages to cities, boosting trade and commerce. Rural farmers can now bring their goods to market faster, cutting down spoilage and increasing profits. Healthcare revolution. Traoré upgraded hospitals with modern equipment. He invested in the training of doctors, nurses, and medical technicians. Affordable healthcare became accessible to ordinary citizens, driving down mortality rates. Rejecting exploitation deals. Foreign mining companies were forced to renegotiate unfair contracts. New policies mandate local processing of minerals, creating jobs and retaining value inside Burkina Faso. Corruption crackdown. Corrupt officials were removed. Transparent governance structures were introduced. Public trust started to grow once again. In every sector, Traoré's message was simple but powerful. Burkina Faso belongs to Burkinabés. Traoré's movement isn't new. It echoes the revolutionary ideals of one of Burkina Faso's greatest leaders, Thomas Sankara, the African Che Guevara. Sankara, like Traoré, believed in self-reliance, anti-imperialism, and economic independence. He rejected Western aid that came with strings attached. He promoted local production, women's rights, and education. But Sankara's life was cut short by assassination. For decades, his vision lay dormant, until now. Traoré has revived Sankara's dream. Where Sankara planted seeds, Traoré is harvesting the first fruits. Many now call Traoré Sankara's spiritual son. Burkina Faso's transformation is a reminder that Africa does not lack resources, it lacks leaders who refuse to be puppets of foreign interests. The world is watching, and not everyone is pleased. For Africans, Traoré's success has inspired millions. Leaders from Niger, Mali, Chad, and now Botswana are following his footsteps. The youth see hope where there was once despair. Calls for Pan-African unity grow louder. For the West, the old system of cheap resource extraction is under threat. Western corporations face losing billions in profits. Politicians in Europe and America fear losing their influence. Reports suggest that Western governments are quietly funding opposition forces, hoping to destabilize Traoré's rule, just as they once did with Sankara. But Traoré's popularity remains high. His people see him not just as a president, but as a symbol of African freedom. The stakes have never been higher. Will Traoré survive long enough to fully implement his vision? Will other African nations unite in an economic alliance? Can Africa finally break free from centuries of exploitation? If successful, Traoré's revolution may trigger a domino effect across the continent, creating an African economic bloc that no longer depends on the IMF, World Bank, or Western aid. As Botswana's president, Duma Boko, recently said after joining Traoré's movement, "No more raw minerals for export. Africa will no longer be the world's warehouse. We will process, manufacture, and build our own wealth." Africa is awakening. The revolution is no longer a dream. It's happening now. Traoré's vision is spreading across the continent, and the world can no longer ignore it. If you believe Africa deserves true freedom, share this video. Let the world hear the voice of a rising continent.